Hello everyone, bringing you a video today, taking another look at the little display cabinet I have set up, this time with some some First World War content. We'll have a look at those in just a moment. I also want to say a very big thank you to another patron who's supported me on Patreon, Michael Harding. I really appreciate it, thank you very much. And thank you again to all those others who've supported me, be it through PayPal or Patreon. I really appreciate it. And everyone who's gifted me things as a result of seeing my videos and chatting to me and so forth. I really appreciate that as well. So a big thank you to everyone there. And thank you to all of you for subscribing as well. Fairly steadily heading for 3,000 subscribers now. So this channel's grown beyond any point I thought it would do. So thank you to everyone for that as well. But without further ado, we'll get on to have a look at the contents of the display cabinet. Okay, so here we have the cabinet contents. Those of you who've seen my videos on Great War kit, particularly the one-man's kit videos, will be familiar with quite a lot of this. So my apologies if it's running over stuff you've already seen. But as you can see, we've got a hold all contents here, some pocket fillers and a couple of ration items that we're going to run through, and we'll go front to back, left to right. So starting off over here on the front left, we have a tin of tooth powder, IDL tooth powder. It's an original tin. Behind that we have a bar of Pears soap, and this is a modern bar of Pears soap but in a wrapper that I've reproduced myself according to an original advert at the time. Pears soap was more expensive soap. These contents here are set up to represent mid-war, mid-First World War items. And by this point, of course, you had a large volunteer army in the British Army. Many of the men were actually drawn from relatively well-off backgrounds, clerks, businessmen whose families could afford to send them slightly more luxury items like Pears soap. So we have that included there. At the back we have a very iconic ration item, and this is Peacock's jam, and unfortunately the label is actually hidden, but it is a apricot jam, which is one of the infamous flavors that was around. As someone said, it's I can't remember which documentary series it is, but there's a chap in one of the documentary series who says it always seems to be apricot. Or of course plum and apple is another of the flavors which seem to turn up a lot, much as people would have preferred strawberry. Starting at the front here and moving across, we have underneath the shaving brush here we have some ISIL toilet paper. Not a prescribed item of the hold to carry in the hold all, but something which has been mentioned by veterans. Veterans accounts I've read of what they carried with them. There was also plenty of newspaper around as well, but a bit of ISIL toilet paper there. On top of this we have the shaving brush. This is just a simple wooden handled bristle shaving brush. Behind that we have a pipe, and then a box of Finley's red tip matches, which I believe to be from the period. These came out of a 1920s house wall cavity. The box did. I put some red tip matches in there to complete it. We then have here a 1906 print AB64. So this is supposed to represent obviously a soldier who's joined in pre-1915, which I think is when the next print of the AB64 was introduced, but part of the volunteer forces who obviously would be in the line in 1916, and that's really what I've tried to set this up to be, is mid-war. Moving front to back again, we have the straight razor here on top of its case, as you can see, and then at the back here we have an ID disc, a single red ID disc on a piece of leather cord, a bootlace in it, as opposed to the regulation cord. And then at the back here, at the very back stood up, we have an active service postcard, although it's not actually a printed active service postcard. It's just a small piece of card that someone's written home on and written active service at the top, and this is actually postmarked 1918, I think. Starting at the front and moving back again as we move across, we have here a bone comb, a genuine bone comb, small pair of nail scissors. Again, these are the contents of the hold all here being based upon veteran accounts of what they carried with them. Obviously you need something with you to trim your nails in the field, and so we have those there. And famously, of course, in the Second World War instance, Fusilier Payne is carrying a small pair of folding nail scissors in his hold all as well, or amongst his personal effects rather. So something that is obviously a very practical addition to your kit for the field. Next to this we have a 1916 dated toothbrush. This is a reproduction bone handled toothbrush. I do have an original, but I rather like this with the date stamped into it on the handle. I quite like the addition of that, so I've decided to put that in the cabinet here. And then we have spare bootlaces, which of course are one of the prescribed contents for the hold all. Behind those we have the
a tin of the infamous bully beef, corned beef, a Fray Bentos tin. This is a reproduction. The label comes from Tommy's Pack Fillers, as does the jam tin label that we looked at before. The tin of corned beef is a modern tin of corned beef, just relabeled. The jam tin is actually a syrup tin, which I understand to be very similar to the jam tins that we used at the time. And then at the back here, we have an active service envelope, an original green active service envelope, which is actually dated very late 1916. The postmark on there is very late 1916. So I'm glad I was able to include originals of those. Just running over a few of the other bits and pieces which are original and reproduction, because I haven't been over all of that. I think the main thing I've not mentioned, of course, is the AB64. The shaving brush and the razor are, well, the razor is period, an original period item. The shaving brush is relatively modern but plain and similar to those which were used at the time. The AB64 is from the Funk Hole, makes those, and it's a very accurate reproduction taken from an original. Unfortunately, I only have a very late war, well, actually 20s, but a very late war print of the AB64. I don't have a 1906 or a 1915 print, which I would like to get at some point, so keeping eyes out for those. But that's the cabinet display as I have it here. Obviously, underneath it all, we have the hold all, as you can see. You can see some of the items left in the loops there on the hold all. As I say, I think that's actually a Second War dated example, but it does the job for the display here.
So there we are. That's a look at the contents of the cabinet as I have them at the moment. As I say, more repro stuff in there than there usually is. There's usually a bit more original kit in there, but I don't have so much original Great War era small kit, unfortunately. As I say, it's just nice, nevertheless, to rotate things in the cabinet and make sure that the display keeps changing. It's of more interest that way, and it allows you to enjoy smaller items from your collection. And I highly recommend it if people do have display cabinets and things. Rotating what is in them periodically can be a very pleasing way of enjoying the collection. But that's everything I wanted to cover in this video, I think. As already stated at the start, of course, there is a Patreon if anyone would like to support my channel. If anyone likes my videos that much, obviously some people do, which is immensely gratifying, and thank you very much once again for that. There's also a PayPal link if anyone wants to make a one-time donation to the channel. Both of those options are linked in the description. There's also the Facebook and the Instagram page linked there, both of which I post photographs on. There'll be a photograph of, there'll be a clearer photograph of the cabinet contents on there if people would like to take a look at a still of that. Also post up about events I'm attending and so forth on there as well. And Facebook is a good place to get in touch with me. The messenger on there is a good place if you want to get in touch. Of course, there's also the option to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like my videos and you'd like to see more, please do consider subscribing. Obviously, make sure you hit the little notification button next to the subscribe button as well, the little bell, so that you're notified when I upload future videos. But as said previously, I think that's everything for this video. So until next time, bye for now.